some of this weekend's action, Rob, harrowing for a couple of teams, or more than a couple of teams, but two of those being the Buffalo Bills, Rob, who lost, as we've been talking about, to the Philadelphia Eagles. Buffalo played well, but they've given themselves no room for error now because of some of their bad losses, and
they're in real
with
trouble.
their schedule, they can play well and lose because they got the Chiefs next and then the Cowboys after that, and then a desperate Chargers team, Patriots, and Dolphins. So, Rob, 3 of their upcoming games, they could play well and lose, right? Chiefs, Cowboys, Dolphins. And so, they're in real trouble. They're 6-6, and now the 10th seed in the AFC, and, of course, only the top 7 will make it to the playoffs. And then the aforementioned Chargers, they dropped the game, again, as we said earlier, 20-10 to the Baltimore Ravens. They fall to 4-7, and, Rob, I picked them to miss the playoffs, and, boy, they have to win out to even have a hope of making the playoffs.
I don't see it.
No. I think they're clearly done. Their schedule not as bad as Buffalo's. They got New England. That should be a win. Broncos, that could go either way. I mean, Denver's playing well. They've won 5 straight. You might have to favor Denver in that one. Then the Raiders, a rivalry division game.
Right, you never know there.
Buffalo, yep, Buffalo, Denver again, and then the Chiefs. So that's the last game of the season. We'll see if the Chiefs are playing, for anything. They might be, Rob, playing for that number 1 seed. So they might take that game seriously. So bottom line, 7 losses already. At best, you're 10-10.
They have too much talent,
you're 9-8.
They have too much talent.
Well, and that's what we want to get to. Look, both of these coaches, and you and I think you were with me on McDermott as well. Not that they got to fire him, before this season. I definitely didn't think that. But when they gave him, Rob, that contract extension through 2027,
you just thought it was premature.
Why?
Right.
Right, why? He was still under contract. Let him coach out this season and see how it goes. And it's gone horribly. All right, if you miss the playoffs, there are teams, Rob, that from year to year, you don't know what you're going to get, right? They're good, then they're bad. And Indianapolis, maybe they'll be in the hunt. A team like that. And then there are the teams that you automatically pencil in for the playoffs, whether you think they can win a Super Bowl or not. And Buffalo was one of those teams. So for them to miss the playoffs outright will just be as bad as it gets. And it might cost Sean McDermott his job. I think he's a good coach. I think he'll get a job elsewhere in the future and deserves one. But I think if they miss the playoffs, Rob, and even if they make it, we'll see how that goes. But I just don't think he's the coach to get them over the hump.
Yeah,
to the next level.
I honestly think, Chris, that he lost his job last night. I do.
With that decision not to. It was a lot going on, but one was the decision, 20 seconds left, and they're in the fourth quarter, and the game is tied, and they kneel it. They don't try to go for the yardage to get in field goal position, which, Rob, as we know and as they know as well as anybody, you can do now. In today's NFL,
they lost in 13 seconds, Chris. Right. So why would you eat 20 seconds?
You got an explosive quarterback, explosive wide receivers. It was just an overly cautious decision that came back to bite him. Who knows if it would have worked, give it a try.
Right. I'm just saying the loss there, they needed that. And now that looks like it's going to be hard for them to make it. Obviously, Chris, if they somehow put it together and make the playoffs, I just don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They've had these kind of losses all year. There's something wrong, awry, miss. It just doesn't feel the same, and we talked about it. I told you I was out on them before the season started, didn't I? I told you.
You picked them to make the playoffs, but you thought.
But I was like,
their Super Bowl window had closed.
Had closed because it just didn't feel right. They don't seem like the same team to me. I don't know. Was I overthinking what happened to them last year? You know, in the playoffs, the way that ended. You remember? I just thought it was like.
Well, they looked bad in last year's playoffs. I mean, they finished the season with 7 straight wins, then barely beat Miami, who's playing Skylar Thompson at quarterback.
Who?
And then got manhandled in their own gym or their own arena, own field, stadium by the Cincinnati Bengals. So here's what I want to ask you, Rob. Because that job could be open. And then the Chargers. I mean, you and I have been on the Brandon Staley needs to go bandwagon for a long time. We may have started the bandwagon.
When you lose a 27-point lead, 27-0 lead in the playoffs, and you come back.
And that was, Rob, there had been plenty before that.
No, I know. That was the one we thought it should have been done. You remember, he blew a game against the Chiefs. Remember that? There were a number of games.
Blowing games left and right with his bad decisions. But anyway, they're 4-7, so he may be gone at the end of this season. Rob, of the 2 jobs, I want to know which one you think is best because both teams are talented. I'm going to say Buffalo. Like if I was a head coach, I think I would want Buffalo. And we're taking out weather. Obviously, most people would prefer the weather of LA.
Obviously, you take LA over Buffalo, right? There's no
city, right. So, no offense, Buffalo. But for football reasons, Rob, I'm saying this. One, Justin Herbert's obviously very good. I like Josh Allen better. I like the division. The AFC East, which, Miami is not unbeatable, and then the Jets and the Patriots are lost. All right, so you got an easier division, an easier road to the playoffs every year versus playing in the AFC West where you've got obviously Kansas City to deal with and Patrick Mahomes isn't going anywhere. And then Denver all of a sudden might be pretty good. And who knows with the Raiders? I mean, they've been playing better under Antonio Pierce. And so I think the division is lighter. The quarterback is better. If not by much, but I'd say better. And then, Rob, I do think in Buffalo, as much as you might not want that weather, it is a distinct home field advantage.
It's worked for them so well that they've never won a Super Bowl.
Right, not with them. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a home.
No, I
crowd
get it, but I'm just saying, but it hasn't worked for them.
Obviously, the weather, right. But in L.A. with the Chargers, Rob, first of all, they don't. It's almost like they don't even have home games.
No, I get that, Chris.
Right?
I've been to the game.
You've been there, and the crowd.
I was there when they played the Lions. It sounded like I was in Detroit.
And that's the really?
Yeah.
And that's the Lions. That's not like the Cowboys or the Steelers or some national team. And so those are the reasons, Rob. I would rather have the Bills job if it's open. Where are you at on these two?
No, I'm going to disagree with you. I would take the Chargers, and I'm going to tell you why. There's 2 reasons. I like Justin Herbert going forward more than I like Josh Allen, Chris, going forward. I think Josh Allen might have hit a ceiling, might have plateaued. I'm dead serious. Like, he'll be very good, but I think there's more to Justin Herbert that we haven't seen yet. That's untapped. And that's what I think is part of it. I love the playmakers. Some of the guys that they have on the Chargers defense, they shouldn't be as bad as they are. They just feel like, to me, it feels like it's untapped. That with the right coach in the right situation, and I get the divisions, Chris, that's a great point. Tom Brady feasted on the AFC least his whole career, and that's the factor. When you got 6 wins before the season starts, it makes it pretty easy. You know what I mean, to go that way. So I understand that. That's fair. But I wouldn't be afraid of being having to beat a Patrick Mahomes or whatever like that. You want to be on that level that you one day, you're not going to beat him every year, Chris, but that you could beat him like Joe Burrow did. You know what I mean? Winning the Kansas City and won an AFC championship game and stuff like that. Those are the moments you relish. So if Justin Herbert's going to be that guy, I just think the Chargers should be way better than they are. And I think part of it is coaching. And I would take Herbert over Allen. I would. Going forward, Chris, going forward.
Herbert's 25, Allen's 27. And this year, Rob, to be honest, both have been disappointing.
No doubt about it. I'm not even because Justin Herbert. What's bothered me is the interceptions and turnovers, Chris. Like
you mean Allen?
No, Herbert too.
Both of them.
Herbert has ended 2 or 3 of their games have ended with him throwing a pick.
Right.
He did it with the Cowboys and a couple other games.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, Herbert has not really progressed.
Let me ask. I want to ask Steve DeSager something. He does the Charger stuff,
right?
And he's there. Steve, can you jump on?
Yeah.
Just Justin Herbert. I mean, you see him every week. You see this guy. I just think there's more there that he can play better.
Agreed.
There is,
right?
sure.
Isn't there more? Yeah. He's a talented guy.
Very talented and a great arm. And I thought these last few years they haven't used him enough deep. I felt bad for him a couple years ago when the defense was so horrible that he pretty much had to score 30 points.
In order to have a shot to win, right.
But he's had plenty of fourth-quarter comebacks. But, yeah, the turnovers recently have been a problem. I will say, by the way, I don't think
he only has 6 interceptions.
Yeah, when you were talking about you visited and there was a lot of Lions fans, the Lions are enjoying their best year in 30 years.
Right.
If the Detroit Lions were visiting L.A. 2-3 years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. Last night was a pro-Charger home crowd, regular
really?
NFL
Not
home
Baltimore.
crowd.
Okay.
Absolutely, because they don't have the national fan base like when the Raiders or Cowboys visit. And by the way, this was always a problem for the San Diego Chargers when the Steelers were there. Some Packers.
So it's only kind of the national teams. That
when it's Arizona or Cincinnati or even Baltimore. I mean, they're a 1 seed. We talked first hour how great they are. It's not the national fan base the Cowboys are, let's be honest. In fact, when the Chargers had another bad offensive series after halftime, the boos were raining down and then the fire Staley chants.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Yeah. Chris, were you at that game chanting? Fire Staley?
No. All right.